how? So now do you see what's happening? So this guy, he says, oh, so when the minute she remembered the name of the villa, says, yes, I know that villa. In that villa, there was a beautiful lady who lived at that time. And remember, now see, he even remembers her name now. Laura, startled, she's surprised now. Laura? Laurenette? Do you know her? Gonzalo, yes. They look at each other intently. Now each one is looking at the other. Now she's thinking, oh, he knows me, he knew me. Then who's this guy? Laura, recovering herself. Nothing. You reminded me of my best friend. He says, oh, I thought, no, the way you're looking, the way you are, you look like my best friend. Gonzalo, how strange. Laura, it is strange. She is called the Silver Maiden. So, see what she's done now. She immediately turns the story and she's making up her own story. Now, she is Laura, but she's saying that she had a friend in that villa who's called the Silver Maiden. So, who's actually called Silver Maiden here? It is this Laura who's called the Silver Maiden. Gonzalo. Precisely, the Silver Maiden. By that name, she was known in that locality. So Laura was so beautiful at her young age that everybody called her the Silver Maiden. I seem to see her as if she were before me now, at that window with the red roses. Do you remember that window? Now he says, yeah, I can see as though, I can still see her in those windows, holding those red roses for me. Do you remember that window? If you know that villa, do you remember that window? Laura says, yes, I remember. I was the window of her room. It was the window of her room. Says, it was the window of the room. Whose room? Her friend's room window. Gonzalo. She spent many hours there. I mean, in my day. Laura, sighing. Sighing meaning nittasiru. And in mine too. Gonzalo. So these two people know each other, but each one doesn't know who it is. So he doesn't know that it is the same lady, and she knows that it's the same guy because he has told already who he was. Don Gonzalo. She was ideal, fair as a lily. So this is a simile. She was so fair as a lily. She was fair as much. So she was as much fair as a lily. Jet black hair and black eyes with an uncommonly sweet expression. She was a beautiful lady with a sweet expression. She seemed to cast radiance wherever she was. Wherever she went, she cast radiance. Her figure was beautiful, perfect. What forms of sovereign beauty God models in human clay. She was a dream. So he's describing her. To this day, he remembers how she was. And he says, oh, she was so beautiful. God makes some beautiful models like that. So Laura, aside. So whatever she's saying aside is not heard by him. It is for the spectators and us, the readers now. If you but knew that dream was now by your side, you would realize what dreams come to. It says, if you knew that the same lady that you're talking about is there next to you sitting, it is sad. She doesn't want to tell him that she is the same Laura because she feels now she has grown old and she's become fragile. So I don't want you to think that your beautiful dream has ended up like me here. So she's hesitating to tell him who she is. And aloud, this she's telling him. She was very unfortunate and had a sad love affair. So Laura is saying that who's this she? Her friend, whom she's calling her friend, had a very sad love affair, she says. Gonzalo, very sad. They look at each other. So he also knows about this love story. Laura, did you hear of it? Did you know about it? It refers to the love story here. Gonzalo, yes. Laura, The ways of providence are strange. Providence, God. Aside, Gonzalo. Gonzalo, the gallant lover in the same affair, Laura. Oh, the duel. Now these two are recalling the story, the love story. So it is the gallant lover and the affair they had and the duel. Duel meaning, what is the meaning of duel? Duel is a fight that happens between two people. So there is some fight apparently that happened and she is remembering that. Gonzalo. Precisely the duel. Yes, I remember the duel. The gallant lover was my cousin, of whom I was very fond. Now he's also not saying that it's him. So he's saying that it was my cousin who was coming there. He doesn't say that it was him who knew Laura. Laura. Oh yes, a cousin? Oh, is that so? Is that your cousin? So, my friend told me in one of her letters the story of that affair. So Laura says, I know because my friend who had this affair told me in a letter when she wrote to me, which was truly romantic. He, your cousin, you're saying he was your cousin, right? The guy who was coming there. So your cousin passed by on horseback every morning down the rose path under her window and tossed up at her balcony a bouquet of flowers which she caught. So this friend of yours used to go by his window every day and he used to toss, meaning throw, a bunch of flowers at her to the window and she would go catch the flowers over there. Gonzalo. And later in the afternoon, the gallant horseman would return by the same path. Okay, afternoon he used to come back and catch the bouquet of flowers she would toss him. Am I right? Both of them remember the story so clearly. So on the way back, when this horseman used to come, she used to throw back another bouquet of flowers. Laura. Yes, they wanted to marry her to a merchant whom she would not have. Yes, yeah, but they refers to the parents, her parents here. They wanted to marry her to some merchant. Gonzalo. And one night, when my cousin waited under her window to hear her sing, this other person presented himself unexpectedly. Now, one night when my friend went by the horse, there was another person over there. What happens over there? And insulted my cousin. So she's continuing the story. This is it. Insulted my cousin, Gonzalo. There was a quarrel. There is a quarrel between these two people. Gonzalo, who went there on the horse, and another guy who comes there. And later the duel, the fight that happens between these two guys. Gonzalo. Yes, at sunrise, on the beach, and the merchant was badly wounded. My cousin had to conceal himself for a few days and later to fly. So this my cousin nicely bet him up. And this guy and the merchant was badly wounded. So this guy who came to fight with Gonzalo got hurt badly in the duel. Laura, you seem to know the story well. Says, you seem to know everything about it. Gonzalo, and so do you. So you also know so much about it. How do you know? So each one is surprised how the other one knows so much about their story. Laura, I have explained that a friend repeated it to me. So Laura says, I told you it was my friend who told me the story. Gonzalo, and my cousin did to me. And my cousin told me that guy, the lover who used to come there near her window, was my cousin and he told me. Aside, oh, this is Laura. So he realizes that this lady who is sitting next to next to him is Laura. Laura says, aside again, why tell him? He does not suspect. So, oh my God, he does not suspect, meaning he doesn't think, he doesn't really have a doubt that I am the same person here. Why tell him that now? Let me not tell him. Gonzalo, aside, she is entirely innocent, meaning she doesn't know. Laura, and was it you by any chance who advised your cousin to forget Laura? So Laura says, was that you who advised your cousin to forget about it all? Gonzalo, why? My cousin never forgot her. He says, no, he didn't forget Laura at all. It was Laura is the one who forgot. Laura, how do you account then for his conduct? So his conduct, his behavior. How do you account? Meaning, why did he behave like that? So what did he do? I will tell you. The young man took refuge in my house. So this cousin came to my house, fearful of the consequences of a duel with a person highly regarded in that locality. So this guy with whom he fought was a very influential person in the locality. And this guy has nicely beaten him up. So he was scared that if he goes out now, he might be beaten up back. So he goes and hides in his cousin's place. From my home, he went to Seville and then came to Madrid. He wrote Laura many letters, some of them in verse. So he didn't forget her. Don't think that he forgot her. He didn't forget her, just that he came and took shelter in my house. And there he wrote letters also to her from there. Some of them in verse, some of them in poetry. He wrote some poetry also to her. But undoubtedly, they were intercepted by her parents. Intercepted, intervened. The parents took away and never gave the letters to her. For she never answered at all. So how did he come to know that parents intercepted the letters? He knows because she never replied to him. Gonzalo then, in despair, believing his love lost to him forever, joined the army. So then Gonzalo thought that, okay, she did not respond to my letters, so she has forgotten me. She does not want to marry me anymore. So he left and he went and joined the army, went to Africa, and there, in a trench, met a glorious death, grasping the flag of Spain and whispering the name of his beloved Laura. Now see how he has cooked up a story for himself. He says, from there, Gonzalo, my cousin, my friend, from there, he went and joined the army, and over there, from there he went to Africa, and there he died in the war, holding the flag of Spain and taking the name of his beloved Laura. So taking her name, he died, is what he says. Laura aside. What an atrocious lie. Oh my God, this guy is lying. He's telling me a lie. Gonzalo, aside. Both these are aside. So that means that the other person is not hearing what they're saying. I could not have killed myself more gloriously. So it's a glorious death I've had. I could not have killed myself in a better way than this, he says. Laura, you must have been prostrated by the calamity. Yes, you must have been really, taken aback by the calamity. Gonzalo, yes indeed, Senora. As if he were my brother. He was like my brother. I presume, though, on the contrary, that Laura in a short time was chasing butterflies in garden, indifferent to regret. So he says, yeah, this guy, went to the army and died over there. And I'm sure Laura must have been chasing butterflies, my meaning, playing in the garden without thinking twice about the guy whom she loved. No, senor, no. She says, no, she didn't do that at all. It was a woman's way. She says, even if it were woman's way, the silver maiden was not of that disposition. She was not like that. She was not the one to forget her lover so easily. My friend awaited news for days, months, a year, and no letter came. So she's saying, it's not that my friend forgot her lover. She waited for him for days and months and years, but no communication came from him. one afternoon, just at sunset, as the first stars were appearing, she was seen to leave the house and with quickening steps went her way toward the towards the beach where her beloved had risked his life. She wrote his name on the sand and then sat down upon a rock, her gaze fixed upon the horizon. So she's describing now. Okay, let me just finish this paragraph and then explain to you. The waves murmured their eternal threnody and slowly crept up to the rock where the maiden sat. The tide rose with a boom and swept her out to sea. Now, what did she do? She killed herself too. She made up a nice story saying that even this Laura died. So, what is the story? How did she die? So, this lady, Laura, one day I believe she went to the beach walking, and there she was sitting on the sand and writing his name on the sand. She wrote his name on the sand and then sat down upon a rock. So she sat there on a rock, her gaze fixed upon the horizon. Her gaze meaning her look. Horizon is the place where it appears as though the earth and the sky are joining. That place is called the horizon. So she is looking, gazing, sadly she's gazing at a long distance, writing his name in the sand. The wave murmured their eternal threnody. Threnody is a sad song. So it was as though the waves were singing a sad song and slowly crept up to the rock where the maiden sat. So what happened is the waves came and she was engulfed and she died over there.